Imagine a world filled with amazing and enchanting plants that seem to lure us with their beauty. But beneath this attractive exterior lies something sinister. Have you ever wondered if some of them could become your enemies? What is it like to touch a plant that can cause unbearable pain and suffering? These green creations are nature's true traps, and they are waiting to catch you in their nets. Are you ready to find out which of them pose a danger and how to protect yourself from their deceit? The manchineel tree. And the first one we will look at is the manchineel tree. It's not just a plant, but a true symbol of danger. It is considered the most poisonous tree on the planet. Its sprawling branches, laden with fruits resembling small apples, can be found on the picturesque coasts of the Caribbean, in South and Central America, as well as on the Galapagos Islands. But don't be fooled by their sweet, enticing aroma. These fruits have claimed the lives of hundreds of Spanish conquistadors, pirates, and ordinary sailors who, in their hunger, were unaware of the deadly trap. However, the fruits are just the tip of the iceberg. All parts of this tree, the leaves, bark, flowers, and of course, the fruits, contain a poisonous milky sap that can cause terrible burns and inflammation upon the slightest contact with the skin. This sap is so toxic that it can even burn through thin cotton fabric and damage car paint. But that's not all. Simply standing under a manchineel tree means exposing yourself to deadly danger, especially in rainy weather. Raindrops dripping from its leaves become just as poisonous as the sap itself. Numerous attempts to destroy this tree have turned into real disasters. When cutting it down, the poisonous sap would spray in all directions, causing serious injuries and even leading to blindness. And attempts to burn it only made the situation worse. The smoke caused problems with eyes and lungs. So how can one get rid of this sinister plant? The only way is to surround it with fires and dry it out at the root before proceeding with felling. In places where the manchineel tree grows, tourists are strongly warned about the deadly danger. Do not stop under these trees and do not touch their fruits. Are you ready to take the risk and learn more about how nature can be both beautiful and deadly? Gympie. Next on our list is the Australian plant gympie, which is not just a distant relative of the nettle, but a real nightmare for those who dare to touch it. Imagine this. The hairs of this plant contain a powerful neurotoxin that causes burning, unbearable burns. People who have encountered gympie describe their sensations as a mix of a burn from fire, acid, and an electric shock. What is it like to endure pain that can last from several days to several months? But here's the catch. This stinging plant is not so easy to spot. It looks like an ordinary shrub with sprawling leaves, resembling a harmless burdock. How can such an innocent-looking plant harbor such danger? And that's not all. The hairs of the gympie can detach from the leaves and float in the air, causing throat burns and even nosebleeds. Have you ever wondered how easily you can become a victim of this insidious plant without even touching it? How can you protect yourself from this invisible threat? Be careful. Nature can be not only beautiful, but also deadly dangerous. The common castor bean. Surely you've seen this plant in flower beds and gardens. Its beauty attracts attention and pleases the eye. But do you know that behind this attractive appearance lies a real threat? The seeds of the common castor bean contain the deadly poison ricin, which, due to its exceptional toxicity, has even made it into the Guinness Book of Records. Imagine what happens when this poison enters the body. A deadly dehydration begins, blood pressure drops rapidly, and all of this is accompanied by unbearable abdominal pain, vomiting, and diarrhea. What is it like to realize that your body is becoming a battlefield, and you can't do anything about it? And here's the most terrifying part. No antidote has been found for this poison. It is invincible. How dangerous do you think it is to have such a plant nearby? Can its beauty overshadow the awareness of a deadly threat? Be careful. Sometimes even the most beautiful things can hide terrible secrets. Sosnovsky's hogweed. The next plant can be found everywhere, even in our latitudes, and its beauty might deceive you. But be careful. The sap of Sosnovsky's hogweed is a real threat. When it comes into contact with the skin, it causes increased sensitivity to sunlight, leading to terrible, long-lasting burns. And that's not all. If the sap gets into your eyes, the consequences can be catastrophic, complete blindness. Imagine accidentally touching this plant. What should you do if the sap is already on your skin? You need to immediately isolate the affected area from light and thoroughly wash it in the dark with soap and water. But that's not the end. You will have to avoid sunlight for at least 2 days. What is it like to live in fear that one mistake could cost you your health? And don't forget about the pollen. At high concentrations, it can cause swelling of the upper respiratory tract and esophagus. Have you ever thought about how dangerous this seemingly harmless plant is? How will you protect yourself and your loved ones from this invisible threat? Stay vigilant. Nature is full of surprises, and not all of them are pleasant. Shrubberies. Have you ever wondered what dangers might be hidden behind the beauty of tropical forests? Encountering this plant in India, Vietnam, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar, you might not even suspect that you are near one of the most dangerous trees in the world. Cerbera, as it is called, contains a toxic sap cerberin, which blocks the passage of calcium ions in the heart muscle. This leads to a slow, agonizing slowing of the heartbeat, eventually resulting in its complete stoppage. Even the smoke from a fire made with Cerbera branches can cause severe intoxication. Terrifying, isn't it? In some cultures of Madagascar, this plant is used as a trial by ordeal to determine the guilt of criminals. If someone ate a leaf and their heart couldn't take it, then they were deemed guilty. What do you think? How cruel and dangerous is that? Tourists heading to the tropics should remember what the Cerbera odolum looks like. This plant with long glossy leaves, beautiful white flowers, and fruits resembling mangoes looks so appealing that it's hard to believe it harbors such a deadly threat. Hira, the dynamite tree. Are you familiar with a hira or dynamite tree? This plant is from the spurge family, native to the Americas. Imagine the fruits of this tree, resembling small pumpkins. When they ripen, something truly terrifying happens. With a deafening crack, they burst into segments, catapulting their seeds up to 100 meters away. Just imagine. What the speed of this ejection is up to 70 meters per second. What do you think will happen if you are nearby at that moment? But that's not all. The milky sap of the sandbox tree is a real threat. It can corrode the skin, causing terrible burns and poisoning. And if it gets into the eyes, the consequences can be catastrophic. Loss of vision, and even burning this tree can turn into a tragedy for you. The fumes produced during burning can cause blindness and severe respiratory irritation. Anga, the fierce nettle. Another monster among the flora. The fierce nettle anga. This plant is found only on the islands of New Zealand, and it is considered the most dangerous species of nettle in the world. Imagine, this tree-like plant can grow up to 5 meters tall, and its leaves and stems are covered with long poisonous spines, filled with formic acid and histamine. What happens if you accidentally touch a branch of this nettle tree? Instantly, hundreds of stinging needles will pierce your skin, causing unbearable pain, blisters, and burns. After that, you may experience uncoordinated movements, a drop in blood pressure, seizures, and in the most severe cases, blindness. What is it like to find yourself in such a terrible situation when your body starts to fail you? Every year, New Zealand doctors assist unsuspecting tourists and locals who unknowingly wander into the thickets of anga and suffer severe burns. Have you ever considered how dangerous it is to ignore warnings about wildlife? Monkshood. Have you ever heard of aconite? This mysterious genus of plants includes more than 330 species, and all of them harbor a deadly danger. The neurotoxin aconitine, found in all parts of the plant, can cause severe irritation even with just simple skin contact. How does it feel to realize that even a light touch can lead to serious consequences? If aconite gets inside, the consequences can be fatal. Hemlock. Another danger among safety. Even the great philosopher Socrates, according to legend, ended his life by suicide by taking a tincture made from hemlock juice. However, this version was later revised. But even if that's not the case, hemlock remains one of the most poisonous plants on the planet. Imagine this plant has a deceptively pleasant smell and taste of the root, which makes it even more dangerous. It's poison. Cytotoxin starts acting just a few minutes after ingestion. You may feel nausea, excruciating cramps, foaming at the mouth, convulsions, and, if you don't manage to wash out the stomach in time, death. How is it to realize that one wrong decision can cost you your life? Belladonna. Are you familiar with belladonna, also known as deadly nightshade? In folk medicine, its juice is used in small doses, but if you just slightly overdo it, the consequences can be terrible. Have you ever wondered what danger lurks behind this attractive appearance? An overdose of atropine can cause alarming symptoms. Rapid heartbeat, photophobia, and sometimes even hallucinations. What do you think happens to a person when their mind starts playing tricks on them? Without timely help, this can lead to tragic consequences, up to paralysis of the respiratory center. Could such beauty really be so deadly? Oleander. This plant is a true star among ornamental and house plants. But did you know that oleander requires special caution? Its sap contains oleandrin, a substance capable of causing terrible consequences. What do you think might happen if you carelessly touch this poisonous wonder? Colic, vomiting, diarrhea. That's just the beginning. In large doses, it can stop the heart. Oleander poses a danger not only to humans, but also to our furry friends. How do you feel about having a poisonous neighbor in your home that could threaten the lives of cats or dogs? Brugmansia. Imagine a plant that captivates with its beauty and unusual flowers. But behind this attractive exterior lies a deadly danger. Are you familiar with Brugmansia? This decorative wonder not only pleases the eye but also harbors poisonous secrets. Did you know that Chilean, Colombian, and Peruvian tribes used it in their rituals due to its powerful hallucinogenic properties? All its parts contain the alkaloids atropine and scopolamine, and even a small overdose can lead to tragic consequences. Could such beauty really be so dangerous? Uberry. Imagine a majestic evergreen tree that can be found not only in Europe but also across Russia. Sounds appealing, doesn't it? All parts of the U. Berry, the berries, bark, and wood harbor a deadly danger. Did you know that even Pliny the Elder mentioned cases of poisoning and people who drank from a yew cup? What do you think might happen if you carelessly touch this mysterious tree? And that's not all. If cattle eat yew branches, their milk becomes poisonous. Moonseed. I'm sure you've seen the climbing plant that at first glance resembles grapes and is often used in landscape design, adding elegance and greenery. But don't let its attractiveness deceive you. Did you know that the roots and fruits of this plant contain a dangerous poison? What do you think might happen if you decide to taste it? A fatal outcome does require a large dose, but even a small portion can cause serious stomach poisoning. Daphne. Meet this mysterious plant, known by the names spurge, laurel, and nazarian. It may seem harmless, and sometimes it's used in folk medicine or for garden decoration. But did you know that behind its simple appearance lies a real cocktail of poisons? Imagine that even light contact of the skin with a moist bark or sap of this plant can cause dangerous consequences. Poisoning can manifest as vomiting, convulsions, and weakness, and in the most severe cases, lead to a fatal outcome. Yellow daffodil. Daffodils are some of the most popular and beautiful flowers that delight us in the spring. But did you know that behind their charm lies danger? It's important to remember, under no circumstances should they be eaten. Daffodil bulbs, which can sometimes be found in stores and easily mistaken for onions, can cause serious health problems. What do you think might happen if they are accidentally tasted? Vomiting and diarrhea are just some of the unpleasant consequences. Even the blooming flowers are not safe. Conclusion. And in conclusion of our journey through the world of the most dangerous and poisonous plants, it's worth considering how thin the line is between beauty and danger. These amazing creations of nature with their bright colors and exotic shapes can conceal deadly secrets within. Each one is not just a plant, but a whole story full of mysteries and warnings. We learned about poison ivy, belladonna, and other dangerous representatives of flora that can cause serious consequences with the slightest careless handling. How will you regard these plants when you encounter them in the wild? Will you admire their beauty, or will you be cautious, aware of their potential threat? Nature is full of wonders, but it also demands respect and caution. Remember, knowledge is your best protection. Take care of yourself and remain curious, but cautious in your explorations. Thank you for being with us. Until next time.